Right, Frankie Gaffney, welcome to Magic Minds. I'm Matt Burke. Look, let me have I got this right, your intro. Frankie Gaffney, author, Dublin 7, Trinity PhD, student, linguistic guru, voice of the inner city youth, sound lad and a celebrity.
I like that. I like linguistic guru is good.
Yeah.
I might start sticking that on my bio or something like that.
Yeah,
I
linguistic
like
guru, I like gurus.
Yeah.
So am I right there?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, the PhD is yet to be achieved. So I don't like making much of that until it's in the bank. You know, it's getting close to the war now. So it was due on the 1st September. What are we now? January the 7th. So we got a bit of an extension, but we'll get there. Yeah.
What about the celebrity part? Are you a celebrity?
I don't know. Someone said that to me. Someone threw it at me as an insult the other day. So if they're throwing it at you as an insult, there might be a bit of truth in it. I was in Marks and Spencer's the other day as well, and the Ellen on the counter recognised me, and she started talking to me. It was on Moira and Dahi show there a while ago, and I think I kind of realised that maybe L ones are actually my target demographic. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that's the audience I should be shooting for. I've been thinking about, you know, lads like yourself or you know,
they're your niche.
Yeah, maybe my niche is L ones. Yeah. It seems to be them. They're the ones that seem to be very sympathetic towards me. Anyway, you know, I get a lot of shit off my own contemporaries and people I thought would have embraced me with open arms. A lot of the so-called lefties and liberals and things like this that I thought would have been saying, "Oh, it's great. Look where this fella came from, and he's doing brilliant." And they've been kind of a bit unfriendly towards me, but the little old grannies seem to have a bit of a thing for me, so I might try and cultivate that.
So with your celebrity status, will we see on The Jungle eating kangaroo balls and pig vagina? Or will we just watching Blue Ring Sell Bells here?
I was going to make a few very inappropriate jokes there about things I've eaten in the past and stuff like that, but we won't go there. I'm in enough trouble as it is. No, I'm getting asked to do a lot of telly, and I'm turning it down actually. Just because I'm so busy and stuff like that. So it's been a bit of a surprise. Like, again, I suppose, what doors opened for me in a heartbeat and what doors stayed shut that I thought would have opened quicker. I mean, the literary establishment kind of ignored the book, you know, and it sold as well as it had a chance to. It was kind of, a lot of shops didn't stock it enough and things like that. But it was a big seller, and it covered a subject that hadn't been covered authentically before, I think.
The book.
Yeah. And it was read by a very, very wide range of people. So, you know, people that buy books, a lot of people, it was the first book they read, things like that. So I was, you know, surprised that the kind of the literary establishment just essentially ignored it. You know what I mean? You know, in Ireland,
I found it very difficult to get. Now, when you agreed to the interview, I was like, "Oh, jeez, I need to get out and get that book." Now, I even emailed Liberty Press. I scoured the books in Dublin because I didn't plan this to speak to you so soon. Yeah. And I found it difficult to get. People were like, "Oh, Hodge and Figgis, I don't know if it's coming back." And
Well, there's problems there because the deal is up with the publisher. So I don't have a publisher or an agent anymore. I decided to look elsewhere. So I've been so busy I haven't had a chance to nail something down. I've approached a couple of people and I'm waiting to hear something back. But really, you know, this time as well, like I'd like it to be something substantial. You know what I mean? I think it's time to start making some money. You know, people talk to me about, "Oh, you have it easy, this, that, and the other." I didn't make any money. You know.
That's what I was going to say. So that's why people in Ireland, when they see it, like that's what the joke was. I wasn't having the dig saying celebrity. I was actually when people in Ireland see on the telly, you have a book out, one, you're celebrity, two, you're loaded, and then the rifles come out and it's time to start shooting you down off the
big time. Yeah. Wait till I have some fucking serious money before they start shooting me down. I wouldn't mind so much. It's difficult. It's difficult for all authors out there. Listen, I've had, like, you know, I don't want to say lucky because I think it deserves to get published, but a lot of people don't get the opportunity to get published and stuff like that.
It's unbelievable, and as I said to you when I tweeted you, I'm not blowing smoke with your hole. It's a fascinating read. I come from that era. I've been to all the places. I've visualised it. I was in it. I thought I knew the people. I thought this was a true story.
Yeah, well, see, that's what means the world to me. You know what I mean? Like, people like yourself that were there, and I didn't want anybody to be able to turn around to me and say, "Oh, that wouldn't happen," or, you know, even the smallest detail.
I know a Griffo. I know.
Yeah, that's it.
I know Shane. I was in the chancery.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So like that's it. A lot of people come to me and they think, you know, I get messages saying that's a great book you wrote, Shane. You know, the main character's called Shane, and people think it's me. And you know, my life was very different to his. You know, there's a lot of similarities there, but there's a bit of me in Griffo. There's a bit of me in Chops. There's a bit of me in all the lads. You know, there's a bit of me maybe in some of the girls even. You know what I mean? Whatever. But I wanted it. It's not that anything did happen. It's that it all could happen. So right down to the prices at the time for the Coke, you know, I wanted to get it exactly right for the weights. You know what I mean? Everything had to be perfect because, and you know, Love Hate was brilliant. I was, you know, wrapped watching it every week. You know, but there was a lot of things that you go, oh no, mate. He wouldn't say that, or he'd have gloves on and he was doing that, or you know what I mean. So I don't.
Accents slipped out. Here,
some of the accents were terrible. You know what I mean. That's a thing. If there was ever a film made of it, I'd want people who are either, you know, from the area or can do it that is perfect. Like Tom Vaughan Lawler, I think that played Nidge was, you know, astoundingly good. You know what I mean. But I think that's very rare. I think, you know, and the thing is as well, you're making it in Dublin. Can you not find people? From you know what I mean. Like if if you're in Johannesburg and you're making a documentary about the townships, you wouldn't get white people to come in and stick on a bit of blackface, and it's a bit it's not a fucking million miles away from it. You know what I mean? I mean, just change your accent and you know, and it's, you know, I don't know. Yeah, so that authenticity was one of the most important things. So like, you know, yourself, you know, as much as, you know, I kind of feel hard done by that we got a bit ignored by the literary establishment, but you know, every message or every comment like that, like from you there,
like your dad's mate, I listened to an interview and your dad's mate said it's as rough as the Balliard in the 80s. Like that's bang on. I can't remember the fourth part. He said
filthier than 50 Shades of Grey and more violent than Ballyfermot in the 80s.
I never read 50 Shades of Grey, but it's definitely in Balliard. Do you know what I mean? And it's definitely on the money. Actually, I'd probably spend the next hour talking to you about the book, but that's I'd love to just talk to you exactly about that.
Yeah.
Talk to me like your childhood growing up. I know you grew up in Fingal, in Plymouth.
Yeah.
Give us just a brief synopsis of what's the story with that, so we can.
Yeah, so we moved around a lot. Like, you know, my background is kind of complicated, and that's one of the big differences between me and Shane. And one of the other things as well, when people congratulate me a lot for where I got to and how I got out of the life I was living and things like that, I say, well, you know, I don't like the word privilege. I think that's been well established. But one area in which I did have privilege was my ma came from a very middle class background. She met my dad when she was a teenager. You know, she kind of was on her own then, you know what I mean, away from her family, away from his family, but because of the background she had, you know, we always had books in the house. It was something that was very important. And, you know, when I was a little kid, we didn't have any money or anything, but I was always encouraged to read, and I was always instilled with a mentality that, you know, I was as good as anybody, do you know what I mean? You know, going into a restaurant, you know what I mean, like when I was a kid and things like that. And there's a scene in the book when the young fella goes into a restaurant and he's nervous, and I remember that, having not been in restaurants, you know, for years, and going in and not knowing the etiquette and the protocol and things like that. But I think then I'd been there when I was a little kid, you know, my mad brought me there and stuff like that to restaurants, and it always instilled that, look, you can go anywhere, and I kind of took that with me, and I think that was an advantage I had that a lot of people didn't have, that couldn't escape the life they were leading. So we lived fucking all around until I was about 5. Then we moved to Bon Oak, Kilmahudra Court in Clondalkin.
I used to have a school that's Clondalkin.
Yeah. Oh Jesus Christ! You think like you nobody can, and it's grand when you're a little tiny kid. When you're that age, like 5, I lived there from 5 till 9, or no, younger, no, maybe 4 till 6 or something like that. Yeah, no, I must have moved there when I was 3 and moved out when I was 6 or 7. I can't remember exactly, but like it's grand then, because like the kids at that age are kind of nice, aren't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like you're just immune. You don't know.
Yeah, you just don't know. Everything's natural.
But
like there was fucking dogs roaming around. Like the place was in bits in the middle of nowhere. Like, you know, rob cars and things like that. It was wild. Like, you know, really run down. And a kind of extent of being run down that you don't see anymore. As bad as some places are, you know what I mean? It looked like fucking like something out of Kabul in Afghanistan or something, like,
Baby
you know what I mean?
Beirut used to call it.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
That's
you know
the
what I
lads
mean?
at school actually used to call it, we live in Baby Beirut.
Mm.
And like, they used to tell a story like joyriding, and so I thought joyriding was something to do with boards now, didn't I? Didn't know much about cars then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you were into that, and where did
Yeah, then we moved to Balbriggan, to Pinewood in Balbriggan, and Corpo Estate again, and lived there until I was about 13. Then we moved to Dublin 7.
What part of Dublin 7 are you?
Just around Arbor Hill kind of area,
okay,
you know.
cool.
Just behind the prison. So like Arbor Hill as well, you know, it's kind of Stony Batter area. Like I wasn't in O'Devney Gardens, and O'Devney Gardens would have been, you know, another
place.
Yeah, another step, you know, rougher. And Carl Parkinson, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's a poet and a novelist, you know what I mean, and he came from O'Devney. Yeah. So, you know, like, you know, I had a rough time growing up, and, you know, was in rough areas. I think it was rougher then when I got a bit older, but again, you know, there's always levels of this shit. I think a lot of people have it a lot rougher, and you know, live in a lot rougher places and things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, so again, you had a troubled childhood, you know, bouncing from place to place, schooling. How was that?
Not good.
That's what, like, I remember listening to you saying you failed your leaving cert, and school wasn't great. You're obviously a super intelligent person. Why did you fail your leaving cert then? Well, how did that happen? Like, books were in the house.
Yeah,
was influential.
I fucking hated school. You know what I mean? Always, like, I think, you know, even in primary school, I remember I had one brilliant teacher, Mr. Hodgins, and he was great. You know, really encouraging, supportive. You know what I mean? And nice person. You know what I mean? And I still fucking hated it. You know what I mean? I still would do anything to get out going there. I just hated it. I don't know, was it an attention span thing or what it was. And then in secondary school, then went to Closterware in Parnell Square. I was in the same class with Wes Houlihan. Class. That's the real celebrity status. So I was in the same class with Wes. And like there were some great things about that school, and there were some great teachers. Some classes that I did learn a lot. Like, you know, I learned a lot in history, geography. I got A's in history and geography, and they made me do pass, because I hadn't been turning up, and I got A1s in past history and past geography, just because from reading on my own, I suppose. But I just stopped going. I used to go in, I'd go, like, the best attendance I had was when I used to go in and go for register, get marked in, and then we found a kind of a tunnel out under the basement, and we used to escape then, you know. And I used to just go. I went on the Mitch one time over 2 months, just didn't go at all. Just didn't turn up, and then I was like, I can't go back now, they're going to catch me then, you know what I mean? Right. So it was wild. There wasn't the oversight. Like, you could sue a fucking school now if the young fella wasn't turning up. Yeah. And they didn't, you know, nobody, I only got caught that time because the fella was gone on the Mitch with his ma found out, you know.
We were on the hop one time, and the teacher we met up in the lower deck in Rathmines. We were on the hop, and he was outside drinking pints, buckled. And he was like, I won't say anything about you, you don't say anything about me. That sounded
deadly.
But so why do you think you actually, like, you failed your leaving? Like, I know why I failed it, just age, maturity, like, got a smell of what town was and partying. Why do you think you failed it?
Yeah, I wasn't partying at that stage, you know what I mean? I was kind of more into politics and stuff like that then, you know, like activism, you know what I mean? Not fucking going around the suit, you know, thinking I was going to be Taoiseach or anything, just sticking up posters and going to protests and stuff.
The Leo Lama, you want to be the next? He's hilarious.
Makar doing the Lama videos, I
follow those two boys on Twitter, a few of them, the Knife, Tony Groves, is it?
Yeah, great lads. Hilarious.
Yeah. So back to
there's a little kind of group formed around. You know, there's Catherine McCartney and Gillian Hamill and a few other people on Twitter that are kind of the same mindset. Yeah. Now, you know what I mean. It's good. So I think with that, it was just not going. I didn't want to go. Like, you know, trying to fucking... I remember in the English class as well, and there's a bit of that in the novel as well, you know. I mean, we were doing Jane Austen, you know, and, like, listen, I read Jane Austen now, and I can appreciate Jane Austen. But when you're a young fella, in town at 15 or something. I don't think that's the right stuff to be trying to ask them to read.
I got my own thoughts on education where people fail. We're banging round holes into square pegs.
Big time. Yeah.
Creativity, the learning of the child. It goes against. Some people are visual learners, audio learners.
Yeah.
People are creative. Other people are.
Absolutely. I don't know what you think, but the English system, they seem to do much fewer subjects. They focus on like 2 subjects for A level or something, is it? 2 or 3 that they really are into. But I think as well, like when I go in, they ask me to go talk to schools. They're going to stop asking me probably because of this. But I say, lads, like my mates that are hairdressers, my mates that are tradesmen are happy. They're making fucking more money than, a lot of them have their own businesses, are making good money. And people that I know that are in professions like that are, went and did finance or whatever, do you know what I mean? They're getting fucking, really, really badly exploited in terms of the hours they're working. They're sitting in front of a computer all day, you know what I mean? So I'd say, think about the trades, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, and there's this kind of idea that you have to go to university. Now, going to university is brilliant, for some people, but it's not the fucking be all and end all, of success or anything like that. Yeah. And some people aren't made that way.
My daughter's going through school at the moment, and she's working. She's coming up for a leaving and talking with the CEO, and I keep having the same conversation. What would you like to do?
Yeah.
Find what you like to do, and what do they do in the 8 hours? And do you think you want to do that? Is that exactly what you want to do every day? Will you get up out of bed for that?
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't care what course she does.
Exactly, and I think the school system pushing people towards constantly. Everybody is go to college, get a degree, do this. And I think it's also contributing to the standard slipping in universities where certainly I think so, definitely, yeah, I think so. And in arts degrees, I think you could fucking walk through and get a 2-1 or 2-2. You know what I mean? I think there's been grade inflation.
I went to college and I thought, because before I went to college I thought I was a TCA because I failed me leaving. When I went there I was like, it's not that difficult, you just have to put in lots of work. Saying that, I didn't know what the power of 2 was and the greater swing was. I was asking people like, what's this thing here?
Well, fair fucks to you, man, getting through it, because again, I had that when I did then decide to go back to education and things like that. I had that base of reading constantly and read my own reading all the time and things like that, and that was because of me mad. I always kind of instilled that for me. So I'm always impressed when people who didn't have that go and fucking do it themselves. I think it's a bigger achievement.
I heard an interview. You were doing an interview with someone. I think the girls from the Green Rebel, and you said you and the cat used to get your man's attention. I said the cat could write some stories.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. My ma would be sitting reading, and either me or the cat would be trying to get the book out of her hand. She's big reader.
Has your man wrote anything like, or does she? I know you send to, like, I'm robbing people, and that's what people do, rob bits of you. You sent your ma part of your book when you were down in Anacorra, is it?
Yeah.
She was influential in reviewing your stuff here.
Yeah, like she was one of the only people that I didn't tell the lads or anything that I'd written a book or anything until I got the publishing deal. I wanted, again, it's like that with the PhD. When someone starts saying to me about the PhD, I'm like, wait, it's not fucking done yet.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So I just wanted it to be, I wanted to achieve. I knew I would. I wasn't going to stop until I did. It wasn't the case of, I'm shy about it or whatever. I just thought I want this to be, and I didn't want people to read it as a manuscript. I wanted them to read the book. Do you know what I mean? It's a different thing. That book in their hands, and things like that. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I'd like to get a bit of that perfectionism back, because I kind of I've let myself slip. I've been going out too much.
I found that coming at the end of my degree, that the longer it's in the education, it's like, I'm done with this. Get me away from this.
Yeah.
Now I'm working full time. I want to kind of go back,
Yeah. It's kind of that procrastination thing, and it's a response to pressure maybe as well. You know what I mean? But I don't like making I don't like making New Year's resolutions or whatever. But I think 2018, I'm gonna pull it back with the New Year's resolutions. There's a revolution on the brain here. And with the New Year's resolutions, I think a good way of thinking is that, right, I'm just gonna do better. Do you know what I mean? Not like I'm going to stop going out. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm gonna tone it down a little bit. I'm going to work a little bit harder, you know what I mean? Things like that is probably better than saying, setting yourself up to fail,
Right, I know you've done a course in Balliol, you've done a music course. And as much as I love a PLC course and thing, and I love them, I can't rave about them. I rate my PLC course higher than my degree for certain reasons. So I want to and I'm not just skipping over or thinking that's not as important. the part you went to Trinity.
Yeah.
And you got on to Korea. What was that like for someone like you, with your accent, your background, their perception of you, your fears and anxiety? Give us a synopsis of that, going.
You know, like the academic staff there were good and very encouraging. You know what I mean? And I think you know, they would have had an appreciation, you know, of disadvantage or whatever, if you want to put it that way. Like, I didn't connect with any of the fucking people in my class. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've kept in touch with a couple of them out of a few hundred, and I don't think there was much mutual understanding or you know, any kind. But then again, you know, I had my friends. You know, I was a bit older. You know, I was 25 when I went back. Again, I probably had a chip on my shoulder as well. Do you know what I mean? You know,
that's I'm probably projected here with this question. Yeah. When I went back, I had those fears. I had those because my childhood story. Is that something you experienced?
Yeah, like I used to. People laugh at me when I tell them this now because they don't believe me. Like, so like I used to have panic attacks the night before if there was a tutorial. I'd be thinking, oh shit, I'm gonna have to talk, and I'd be nervous talking, and I'd no shortage of opinions. Like, I'd no shortage of you know, anything like that, but I was just scared to talk, you know. Now we go on live television, and when I'm not talking, when I'm sitting there on the panel, I just be thinking, when is it my fucking turn to talk again? I don't get nerves for anything anymore now, you know what I mean? So it's an amazing transition. But I think it was, you know, you're going into a university where, you know, like that, out of 200 people, nobody spoke like me. Do you know what I mean? It's, you know, if you were talking about demographics, in terms of, you know, race, or in terms of gender or things like that, you know, the gender balance was, you know, 60-40, girls to boys, whatever. But to go in somewhere where, you know, you're the only one, or, you know, even ones maybe that had a bit of a background like me, a lot of the time I think they kind of tried to fit in and you know, assimilate.
I probably would be guilty of that. I tried to probably do that. Yeah.
Did you? Yeah, that surprises me now. I wouldn't have thought you'd be the type to.
No, I wasn't so sure who he really was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got involved and I thought, this is where I'm going to the moon with this. I tried to get away from my past. I said, you know, this is what made me. This is what got me here. Yeah. And there was only a girl that I recently go out with, and she was like, you're a pretentious prick. Do you know what I mean? I was like, you know, this is who you are, and you know what I mean? I probably wasn't as strong a character.
I wouldn't say that. Like, you know, again, you know, I found it tough that those undergraduate years. I wasn't particularly happy. You know what I mean? I loved the course, and I, you know, was, you know, really took great delight in the learning aspect of it. You know what I mean? I missed that. I missed going into lectures and being taught. You know, because now it's all self-directed that I'm doing. You know, there's no classes that I go to, and sometimes I go and sit in on lectures.
Yeah,
still.
Was it Steve Jobs used to say? He dropped out and dropped in. He dropped out the course he do, but then used to pop into animation ones and other things.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and I suppose reading from other disciplines then as well. I did a lot of my own reading. I think that really stood to me. Like, I wouldn't just. I read about history. I read about anthropology. I read about linguistics. Then got into linguistics because I was doing English and history as an undergraduate, and I got into linguistics myself, and then did the masters in linguistics and things like that.
What's the essence of linguistics?
Linguistics is the study of language. So not how to speak different languages. One of the things when I say I'm a linguist, a lot of people ask me is how many languages do you speak, and I say one. One, and I don't even speak that properly. But it's the study of how language works. So for example, this is the example I love giving. If you take the words I am drunk, and you rearrange those words and you say am I drunk, one is a statement and one is a question, and we all know that. But if you ask the kid where's the subject, the verb and the object to make a sentence question, he wouldn't know what the fuck you were talking about. No. So these are innate rules and things that we do completely unconsciously, you know, that we never really think about, but it's an intensely complex system that we all know without knowing that we know. And that's what linguistics does, I suppose, study how that works. And then I was interested in it as well because when I learned a little bit about linguistics first, I learned that, you know, people used to say about the Dublin accent, and it's not just an accent, so it's a dialect, and so the accent just talks about the sound that you makes. That we, you know, Southsider will say, I'm going to the shops, and we'll say I'm going to the shops, and you know it's the same sentence but they sound different. But there's words, so he might say house, we'll say gaff. Then also syntax, so like that, like word arrangement. So I've talked a bit about this before, but habitual present tense. I do be, she does be. You know, these kind of things.
That got me, that the do be do.
Yeah. So you know, when it's amazing. And I think linguistics, to me as well, is so relevant because we use language every day. Everybody uses it, and it always amazes me. Like, I try to get people to read books on it, and they start to go, "Yeah, this is boring." And I'm like, "How can you find this boring? It's so interesting." You know?
I find it fascinating and scary because it's something like, if you put down something about biochemistry or immunology, I pick it up and I get it and I grasp it. But with linguistics and all that kind of stuff, it's like another world to me.
Well, that's it. Like, if you put so that there's immunology is something that, you know, I think is exploding in terms of how the implications of it, I think, are much, you know about this, I don't, but are much more than people thought before. You know,
bugs and pathogens, and I believe we're going to be wiped out by a sophisticated pathogen. I don't think a bloke turned up in a suit and a briefcase.
Yeah, well, I hope it's not going to be soon.
I don't think so.
Can I get the PhD finished for you?
I think so. But you know what I mean? But the linguistics, the way, like, your PhD is on.
Yeah, it's another subfield then that I got interested in. It's like using linguistics to analyse written language, which, you know, tends not to happen too much.
Looking at the novel spelling.
Yeah, so spelling, punctuation, and typography in literature. You know, I talk about, you know, ellipsis points. You know, the dot.
Right.
And I thought, well, what do they actually mean?
Yeah.
You know, well, people usually say, if you look up in a dictionary or whatever, it says a sign of omission, so a sign to show that something's been left out.
Yeah.
But actually, in reality, if you look at novels, for example, most of the time they don't reference something that's left out. They just represent a pause. You know, just that someone's pausing when they're speaking. And because you don't have, like, writing is a translation of spoken language into a visual medium. So you don't have duration, you know, you can't tell how long something is. So it's just a little signal to show how long something is, you know what I mean? But again, like, these things are so obvious that we don't think about them. It's, you know, I think looking at them through that lens is you know, really exciting and enlightening. You know, people forget as well, there's this kind of, the relationship between spoken language and written language. You know, written language is technology. Like an iPhone or like a laptop, it was invented, you know, at a certain point in history. It's not natural. Kids don't learn how to write unless you sit down and teach them. But if you have a kid in the room and you're talking, the kid learns how to speak, you know what I mean? So, you know, those fundamentals that you know, we kind of take for granted about how we communicate and things like that is kind of what I'm interested in.
Yeah, and that's how, again, it'd be something, if I heard David Dimbleby talking about what you talk about, I go, but you caught me one day because of your accent, and I think that you have the potential to make that kind of stuff cool. And you were saying earlier you weren't asked to go back and talk to schools. I think you're ideal to go back and talk to people.
Yeah.
You bring authenticity, you know, really real, like, it's real shit.
Yeah. Well, that was very important to me. You know, to keep it real. You know, I know that's a hackneyed phrase and things like that. But I remember when I was a good mate of mine was saying to me, saw the first interview we did, and he was like, "Oh, Frank, you want to believe in, you know, dress a bit smarter and you know, tone it down a bit there and things like this." And I was thinking about it, and I said, "No, mate, that is what you know, that's what makes me stand out. You know, is that, you know, everybody else tries to fit in and everybody else tries to assimilate, and you know, there's fucking 1,000,001 fellas turning up in a suit jacket to go on Bleeding Cairborne Live and talk the same shit, you know what I mean? Like, come in and give it a bit of, look at John Connors, you know what I mean? The actor, you know, he was on the Sunday show on TV3, I think it was.
Like, if you had a suit on and you were talking about bullshit,
yeah,
I'm gonna skip on.
Yeah,
like, you caught me because of the accent, the look. Same with John Connors, you know.
Yeah.
It's real.
That's it. You know what I mean? That's it. I think people are ready for it. Look, I said I was surprised what doors opened to me and what doors closed. Like, the people in TV and, you know, the current affairs programs have been very, you know, open to me, and, you know, very, you know, fair and much more open-minded than people kind of made them out to be and things like that. Or I thought it was all this sinister conspiracy in the media and things like that. Now, there is some of that. I mean, you know, this is a problem. There's talk about gender balance a lot, but if you look at the class differential, you know, when do you hear people like me on the fucking telly? You know what I mean? It's me, you know what I mean? That's there's not many others. So, you know, that needs to start changing. But I think people recognise that, and I think because of the strides forward we've made in terms of, say, gender, you know, people can see, okay, well, we need to apply that logic to everybody. If we're going to have diversity if we're going to have equality, it has to be for everyone, you know. So hopefully things are starting to change and people are recognising it.
Here's the question for you. You're talking about diversity and equality, and it's like religion. It's like do you practice that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Like, I'm not going to stick in a spot.
Yeah.
How equality.
I think you have to give people a break, you know what I mean? Like, I've got into a lot of arguments with this about people and, you know, things about, like, people were giving out because I was on David McWilliams.
Do you treat everyone equal?
Well, you try, you know what I mean? I mean, like, you know, like, I don't know, I think so. I mean, you get to know somebody and everybody's different. But I suppose before you get to know somebody, I think it's best not to make assumptions about them. You know, certainly not based on their class, their race, their gender, their sexuality, things like that. So yeah, I'd say I would, you know what I mean? Until you get to know someone.
When you're on a course or you're doing something, who do you magnetise towards? Who do you move to? Where do you go?
Listen, naturally, if there's someone there with a Dublin accent, you know what I mean, that we speak the same language.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'd say I'm pretty. I treat people with equality.
Yeah.
But if you were on the course, I'd probably see yourself moving over towards you or someone that I thought was similar to me.
But that's natural. That to me, that's a thing about language. You know what I mean? You know that you speak the same language. It's easy to communicate.
Yeah.
You know what?
So it's subconscious.
Yeah, I suppose. And again, like, you know, I suppose having learned that stereotypes a lot of the time are bullshit. Like some of the gay lads I know, some of the toughest lads I know, you know, they don't fit the stereotype of what a gay man is, or, you know, anything like this at all. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, you would have had that impression, I suppose, when you were young, and then you start going to the Chancery or to these places and meet a few people, and it's different. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think you try and judge people as individuals rather than a group. But, you know, again, this stuff is in the media a lot now, and you don't see the same logic applied to class. You know, they're big on race, gender, sexuality, but you don't hear them talking much about class, and they don't apply the same rules, I think. And in Ireland, class is the biggest predictor of life outcomes out of those three.
Yeah, not only in education, but also in health. You know what I mean? Have a look around the area, you know, people around here, you know, there's a high amount of obesity, health problems, like that's down due to education, you know, demographics, funding, education, poor choice of food, you know. And
two-tier health system, you know what I mean? Or like, you know,
the healthcare system is a disaster.
Yeah, we need we need an NHS, and you'd know much more about this, you know, than I would, but, you know, I don't think it's right that people get healthcare based on how much they can afford, you know what I mean, to a large extent.
Yeah, it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking.
But it must be disheartening for you, I suppose, working in that system.
Yeah, it is. Like, we're in the brain exercise, I mean, we don't see things. Most of the stuff I get is from the news, and it's like the health stuff or the different things. I shy away because I don't know a lot about it, and I don't have an influence. I'm kind of embarrassed that I probably should be more active than I am.
Listen, we're all just trying to live. It's fucking hard enough getting up and making porridge in the morning, let alone trying to change the world, isn't it? You know.
So, like, what wisdom would you share with people right now? That if you want a piece of information that can have an influence on people, what would that be right now? Like, mine at the moment is practice self-empathy and you know, mind yourself, you know, and through that then you can produce a better you going forward.
Yeah, you caught me at a bad time because I've been a bit self-destructive lately. I think probably because of the you know, been under a bit of pressure and things like that.
But what's your general go-to thing that you
read? I would say read a book. You know, read non-fiction. You know what I mean? Read a different book. Read a book that challenges you, and as well as that, find a book that you're interested in. Don't try and fucking read something that you don't find interesting. Find something. Go into the bookshop and look at 50 books, and you'll find something. You'll find something that you go, you know, and yeah, I think that, you know, I can't see that ever not giving someone an advantage in some way. I think no matter what your career, what your profession, you know, even if you're not working, those, you know, wisdom that you pick up from books is advantages, number one, and number two, you know, developing your linguistic skills by reading, and I think that's one of the best ways to do it. Reading and writing is something, you know, if you practice it all the time, you just become very, very much better. It's one of those things that can improve exponentially. You know, with fitness, you often hit a plateau. Yeah. You know, but that doesn't seem to happen with language
No.
in the same way. I don't think so. No, I think with reading and writing, you can keep on developing and keep on. You know, it doesn't seem, it seemed to me to hit a plateau if you practice it. And I haven't been. I've been getting too distracted by fucking social media and shit like that. So I'm dishing out advice: do as I say, not as I do. You know, something I need to start doing.
I've got a degree in science and personal training. But if you've seen me 24/7 television, you go, you wouldn't need that fella with a personal trainer and the things we do. But I have all the knowledge in this noggin. But what you said about the book, it's important to get the hook, isn't it? Find a book that you're interested in. Because I'm reading stuff for a course I'm starting. And my missus saying, you're not interested, it's sure you're not. Find a slog to read. It's about leadership and transformation leadership and all that. It's a lot of text. And I'm like, oh, shoot me in the head. Yeah,
like that. And I think that's what happens a lot of time that turns people off reading. They get kind of forced or something to read something that's really not interesting to them. But I've seen it with a lot of lads that, you know, never would have thought reading, and say they were into dogs and they got a book about the dog and they're just fucking stuck into it, you know. Or, you know, a lot of the gangsters, they'll be sitting there reading a book about fucking, you know, the general or something like that, and they read that book, you know.
I read your book in 2 days.
Yeah, I remember, because you only got it, and you had it fucking read like that.
Dating the book.
Yeah, that's a big compliment as well. See, things like this, you know, people ask me about what was the aim of writing it, and, you know, things like that. It was, you know, that's the thrill for me, is people haven't read it. And I say, oh, what did you like? And if someone comes back and likes a specific little joke or a specific little reference or something like that, you know, I still get a thrill to this day. You know?
Shane's damn paling is mad. Like, my visions of him paling, because the day before I seen this buzzing board and I had an insect impaled in it, and then I read that impaled in his mad, and I just had visions of the mad impaled.
I don't know if you're selling it here now. You might turn people off the book.
Oh look, people need to visualise.
It's fairly graphic. It's fairly graphic. You know what I mean? That was something as well that was important to me. Is that I didn't shy away from anything. And you're writing something and go, oh, you know, about me granny reading this or things like this.
I didn't find it all too hard. It's really because of the culture we live in.
That's the culture we live in. You know what I mean? This is the thing about people.
It just kind of sometimes a bit normal. I cringe when I say that, but just that's the style we live in.
That is it, and the violence, the sex, and everything is part of that. But I think it should be represented, you know, as is, rather than try and tiptoe around the subject. And I hope as well, and you know, I'd like to hear your opinion on it. I tried not to glamorise the life. You know, there's an extent.
That's it. There it is.
Yeah, and it didn't shy away from saying, look, some of it's great. You know, partying, you know, going out, girls, money, you know, all of that. You know, some of it is brilliant, but, you know, listen, there's a fucking dark side to this as well.
I'm not going to give that away at the end. You know, it's like I rolled with you, and I love this story and all.
Yeah.
It was just real from the start to the end. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was quality.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear, and like that, you know, someone that's qualified to give that that verdict. It means a lot more to me than if we had got, you know, glowing reviews and the Irish Times and stuff like that.
Did you see that play that was playing a while ago called Dublin Old School by
Emma Kiernan? I know Emma. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on
I thought it was genius. I have the script at home as well. You know, very creative, very different. You know what I mean? Doing something totally different. I thought it was genius, and I've read the script over as well. And it's like the quality of the language. Often with a play like that, it's very ephemeral, so someone's just coming on speaking and it's forgotten about, you know, so they don't put as much effort into the micro level of the words. But, you know, Emmett's got little references, little plays on words in there that are very, you know, you'd blink and you'd miss them, but are very, very clever. I think it's, I thought it was superb.
It took me maybe 10 minutes to adapt the way it was being delivered.
I totally get you.
The process and then writing about this now.
You go in first, you're like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Because it is. But I think that's very brave as well, to go in and do something so different. And the performance as well, like, you know, how the fuck does he do it? You know, how could he remember, you know what I mean, the lines even, like, you know, that length. And
again, I'm all about the visual. I'm a visual learner. I like to visualise him, the brother and all. It blew me away. I used to say like, oh, what the fuck.
You know, just superb.
Curious Boy and the Dog.
I didn't see the play. That book, I'm writing a little bit about it in the PhD. Have you read the book?
No, I didn't see it.
You should read the book. I don't know how similar it is to the play, but the book is very creative in terms of it has like little drawings and, you know, different things. So the chapters as well. The chapters are numbered in prime numbers rather than normal numbers. You know, things like this, because he's into numbers. and it has little maths puzzles in it, and you know it's not like a normal book at all. It's superb as well. That was like the Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime probably influenced me in the sense that when I read that, I just sat and read it and couldn't put it down, and it was very clever but very, very easy to read as well. And I wanted to do that. I wanted something to be. Then I realised, okay, you can do something very clever that's easy and a pleasure to read as well. And I don't think you see that enough. I think people think the only way to do something clever is, you know, it's going to be very, very difficult to read. And I think that's absolute bullshit.
And that's why I like Jerry Colleran is a doctor in the college. He makes everything simplistic. He gives it in songs, gives it an analogy. Yeah. And you get it, a complex like, you know, the glycogen and immunology in a song or a cute little story. You know, wow. Yeah. I get it.
Yes.
And that's an art in itself.
Big time. And you know, it's harder to deliver something complex in a simple way. You know, a lot of people, you know, my field in English and in literary studies and stuff like that, the stuff is fucking written to be pretentious, written to be, you know, and the subject, they're not dealing with quantum physics, you know what I mean? This is, you know, they're talking about language. We all use language every day. There's no reason for it, and I think there's a lot of the emperor has no clothes with that stuff. You know, which I think is and I think it's disappointing, people trying to do that, trying to make people to make something harder to understand rather than make it easier to understand. I think you can't trust anybody that's doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, Frankie Gaffney, author of Dublin 7, Trinity PhD student, linguistic guru. What's the future? Celebrity, will you be on the jungle? What's happening going forward? Tell me what's the plan. After you get your PhD.
After we get the PhD done, I suppose I have a few plans. You know, there's gonna be another book down the line. I don't know, will it be the same world?
It's like waiting for Game of Thrones 8 to come back. It might be the writing of that book.
That's a compliment. Now, there's a few people waiting. I think a few people are thinking, what the fuck is taking them so long? They forget I have other shit to be doing. So I'd like to see Dublin 7 get the chance it deserved, kind of, as well. You know, it was sold out most of the time, and you know, a lot of shops didn't stock it and things like this, and people were going mad trying to get it. And I think, you know, I don't think that was right. You know what I mean? So I'd like to see it get the chance that it deserved. I think it could work as well. A lot of publishers were a bit sketchy about it. Oh, you know, like for example, there's a reference to Bill Cullen in it. Right. You know, Bill Cullen, the businessman.
The cars and all.
And they said, oh, you change that to Donald Trump if you want it to, you know, to be international. And I'm like, no, listen, you know, if you're reading something, it has to be authentic to the local thing. And if you don't know what a reference is, you don't just get the book and just throw it across the room in disgust. You just read on. You know, the authenticity is more important, and that will translate to other people. I think if you look at The Wire, you know, very Baltimore, they use Baltimore slang in it, you know what I mean, and people connected with it all over the world, because every city is the same to a certain extent. Same with Irvin Welsh, uses really weird Edinburgh slang and things like this, and it makes you want to read it more, not less, you know. So I'd like to see it maybe, you know, get a chance in the UK or America, and you know, I don't know, I'd like to make some fucking money. That's what I'd like to do.
Cash is king. So get that book out more, write another one. Anything else? Any other aspirations?
I'd like to see it on the big screen. You know, I think it's the right size for a film.
Is that what you're going to do? You're going to start pushing that more now?
Yeah, I suppose I haven't thought so much about what I'm going to push now. I need to get a new agent. So you know, I have to start looking for a new agent seriously and thinking about who I want to represent me.
Get Lynchy.
Yeah. I don't know how good he'd be.
That'll work out.
Yeah, he'd be good at negotiating with the other parties, but he might want a bit too much of a percentage of my profits. I think that'd be the bad thing there with him. We'll see. Bigger, better. Fucking that's the main message I want to go. You know, get back. Less sessions, more work.
Come here, look, I'm mindful of your time. I can't thank you enough for doing this. I really appreciate it.
No, listen.
Time is a great commodity to give somebody, and I really appreciate it. They're doing amazing work, and you're an inspiration to all classes, anyone that just wants to do better with their life.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That means a lot to me, and you know, like I said, it means a lot that you read the book and gave it your seal of approval. You know, but listen, I'll come on again after as soon as the PhD is over. If you're not sick of me, we'll do it again. You know what I mean? It's a pleasure. I was kind of feeling that way as well. I was kind of feeling we could go on. Like I said, you gravitate to the person in the class that kind of talks like you, so it's kind of gone easier than some podcasts, you know, in the past.
I've loads of questions about the politics, the other side.
Yeah.
I want you to educate me. Free education. I'm looking for.
You're better off not knowing about that shit, man. The state of the fucking place at the moment. You're probably better off just, ducking away from it, because there's some crazy shit going on with people that are.
I'm going to hold you to come back on again.
Then I'd love to.
Thanks very much.
Thanks a million, mate.
Absolute pleasure.
Excellent.